All right. Welcome back to BarstoolBuddhas. I'm Jai,
Rip,
and we're going to go through some stuff today. It's been a fun week.
been talking about a number of things.
Yeah, so, like, share, subscribe, all the stuff.
Do your
Whatever
thing.
platform you're on, do what it is. Get on a
Or
playlist,
do
Apple.
nothing. It's your choice.
Or, like I said, you can like it, dislike it, throw something at the computer or the TV. Make yourself happy there. All right, so that leads right in making yourself happy, right?
Yeah.
So I had a conversation with a guy this week, and he told me that the United States was evolving into what's apparently going to be some version of wokeotopia. Yeah, the utopia of the woke. We're going to all we're going to think the same, do the same. Everything's going to be lovely for everybody, right?
Right. Yeah, they've always been dreaming of that.
Yeah, well, I think the path we're going to follow down to that is to use a phrase from Elton John, kind of mess with it, or it's Jethro Tull. Jethro Tull, yeah. Follow the thick as a brick road. And for those of you who are unaware of that phrase, in England, that's means you don't have a lot going on up here. It's kind of like solid matter instead of gray matter. Yeah, follow the thick as a brick road. So, speaking of Wokotopia,
And
the capital, the probable capital of the new country of Wokotopia is probably going to be Portland.
Portland.
Yeah, maybe. There's been developments on that front.
Mayor Ted Wheeler.
Ted Wheeler has decided that you have to put an end to the violent protests, and those were his words that have erupted in recent weeks and periodically since last summer. But
When he was supporting them and calling it just
Yeah.
peaceful protest, when buildings were burning, police were under attack, people were actually getting killed.
I think he's got some of the events mixed up. Maybe they didn't make the cut, but I don't think periodically is correct. But
So
he's,
was the seminal change. What
yeah,
happened?
he's working on it. But he urged the public to stand up together, and this is a quote: "Take the city back." Well, he gave it away.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if Donald Trump had stood up and said, "Take the city back,"
Oh my gosh.
it's an insurrection.
It's impeachment.
It's insurrection. So, but I'm so happy that he said it. And his quote was he's getting it. They want to burn. They want to trash.
Jai,
They bash.
what changed his mind? What happened?
They came to his house out in the
Followed him
suburbs a while back, and I think they scared him. So he says they want to bash, they want to intimidate, they want to assault. So he's asking people to unmask them, arrest them, and prosecute them.
Write down license plates, take pictures,
Yeah.
videos.
The problem with that is he's in charge of the police. He actually told the police to stand down, and then they've got a district attorney there. When they shoveled all these people in the front door at the police department, they failed to burn down. They
run
let
them
them
out the
walk
back
home.
door.
They let them go home. So, but I'm really encouraged by this because I think if you read this, you can come away with he realizes that a lot of the people that are coming into his city aren't citizens. Why else? Take pictures of them, take license plate numbers, because they've tracked some of these people from riot to
They're
riot.
organized.
Yeah.
They're being funded.
So I'm really happy that, you and I can say that all day long. It kind of goes, but for Ted Wheeler to say, wait a minute, we want our city back. I've seen some videos of Portland, and it's just awful. I mean, it's gone. Well, it's gone to hell. It may be the gateway to hell for
In a handbasket.
Wokotopia as well as the capital. So what was that? So while we're on Wokotopia, we got the book of the week, and it may not show up real well because it's a green screen. It's a green book, but this is a Dr. Seuss book, which may not make some of you very happy. You can see the green screen taking out the green on the book, but it's called Sneetches. Now, Sneetches was written, I think, about 1904, 1905, by a guy that they're saying now is racist. But I got to tell you, there's two stories in this book that are anything but. And the Sneetches, in case you don't know what this is, was a book that was written for children and read to children, read to me, for many, many, many years. And it has it's a cautionary tale as well as a morality play in simple terms. There are two classes of people on the beaches. There are sneetches with stars. There's star-belly sneetches, and there's plain-belly sneetches. And as you might imagine where this is going is, one class of sneetches, the star-belly sneetches, made the other class feel inferior. And there was some...
Oppressed.
Yeah, there was
All
some...
the words that are being thrown out to you every day.
All you got to do is look at the TV, look outside. You'll find the sneetches scenario going on.
Exactly.
Well, in the midst of all this came their savior. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
It's not Al Sharpton, but it's what's his McMean something. Anyway,
McSnorky, McBean,
yeah, whatever his
something
name
like
is,
that.
you can read that. But what he does is he says, okay, he goes to the Plain Billy Sneetch and says, hey, I got a machine,
He's a
and for
capitalist.
$3 each, I can make you a star-bellied Sneetch.
Yeah.
And he proceeds to go through that population. So now everybody's a star-bellied Sneetch, and they're all equal. Utopia, right? Wokotopia.
Well,
Well,
what happens?
no, the original star-bellied Sneetches are now feeling the pain.
Hmm.
And so they're all moping and goping around. So here he comes again and he says, well, for $10 each, I'll make you plain belly Sneetches and you will be unique again. And he does that. So you'd think that would work out, right?
Nope.
No, it didn't work out at all. Now they're all bankrupt and busted.
Right.
Think about it. 1904, $10 was like $150 now. So he made some nice money off of that attempt. So anyway, he leaves and he thinks that they're just fools. Well, I'll read you the last paragraph because it has a real good message in it. I'm happy to say that the Sneetches got really quite smart on that day. The day they decided that Sneetches are Sneetches and no kind of Sneetches is best on the beaches. That day all the Sneetches forgot about stars and whether they had one or not upon theirs. If I have to explain that to people, I'm
Here's the problem.
I'm just going to go away. There's so many parallels to that and so many watch-outs in
It's
there.
going on right now. It's so interesting.
You've got people interfering in the lives of hardworking individuals, trying to make their life, trying to make their communities better places. There are people out there who, I would suppose there are really white supremacists. There's also people of color supremacists. I mean, you see the clash. I'm not going to go into the deep thing of that because
There's
that's
extremists everywhere.
that just gets you in trouble. But the point is, most people are good people, and they want to work through this process. And everybody wants a better life, and everybody wants a better community. And some of the people presenting themselves as your saviors and fixing it, they have an agenda.
Mhm.
They have an agenda. They probably want to buy $2 or $3 million mansions in L.A. or something. Not going to say anything about that.
They want to sell you a star for your belly.
Oh, absolutely. So, read it. And the second story in there is called the Zacks,
Right.
which feeds right into it because they're on a beach too. He must have liked beaches. But anyway, there's north-going Zacks and south-going Zacks, and they meet in the middle and neither one will budge. And so they sit on the beach staring at each other, getting nothing done. Is Congress listening? So it's a very good book to carry around with you. So, but on the darker side of this, I'm still seeing a lot of stuff, there's still a lot of riots, a lot of destruction, killing going on. And so we picked another movie from the past that has kind of that flavor to it because they're kind of prophetic and you see what people thought the future was going to be like. And so in this movie, Escape from New York, it has one of my favorite all-time action type heroes, Snake Plissken.
1981.
Yeah, so in this movie, it's set, this is what's supposed to happen by 1997. So
Correct.
It took about 40 years to get there. But in this movie, Manhattan is no longer a metropolis of economic growth or whatever. It's shut down. It's become the ultimate maximum security prison island. Mm-hmm. Nobody comes, nobody goes except by air. And so there's some stuff going on. But the thing that's pertinent to this conversation is that it's completely dystopian. It's man for man. They're killing each other. They're stealing from each other. It's all burnout. It's all gray and dark. No hope in the future kind of thing. So, but it's a good movie. But it's a warning. It's a cautionary tale because if you look at this movie, and like last week we said Mad Max,
Right.
You say, well, that's just in movies. Well, it's not just in movies.
Reality, everything that's going on there.
Even though Lester Holt doesn't see this anywhere on the internet,
Oh, man,
it's out there. You can see it. You can find it. So, yeah. So that's that. Try to watch that. We heard from a couple of people on the movies last week, and they said, "Why are you guys always talking about the dark side of things?" And so we try to balance it. This is what we could do. This is what's happening, and you got a decision to make.
Options.
Which one of these worlds do you want to live in? So I wanted to bring up something that is one of my pet peeves. I turn on just one. I only got time for one. You turn on any media, and you turn on. There's a lot of people that go, "My truth tells me that I've got to do this." I'm like, oh, interesting. What exactly is your my truth? And they tell you. And not only are you supposed to listen, you're supposed to obey.
It's supposed to become your reality.
And that's this whole postmodernistic thought process where there's no existential values. It's whatever you think things. That's why they're getting away with changing all the language. Well, I believe that this is this, up is down, backwards, forward, sideways, around, So anyway, the point there being is that it's an opinion, folks. They have an opinion, and it's being passed off as fact and truth. There is truth to be found. I mean, I believe it exists, or a deeply relative enough truth that matches the needs of everybody. I mean, we look at, say, my cup here, and if the color balance is right, it's kind of maroon, right? And we get along in the world by agreeing that some things are some ways. When we walk on the ground, we look at the sky, we bathe in water, whatever. You got basic truths, but we're seeing a big move with a lot of people. So when somebody says my truth, I remember it was my opinion is, or I think, or I thought about this. Give me some consideration. Let's talk about it, right?
Well, it's a discussion, communication between two people, or
groups, yeah. There's not a lot of communication.
Social media is really taking that away from dialogue between people.
Yeah, one of the reasons there's two of us here is we bounce things off each other, and it's not much of a conversation. Obviously, we've gone over what we want to say. But, a lot of what you see on social media is just people just throwing rockets out there. They don't expect anything but an acknowledgement or another viewer or subscriber.
Bullhorn on a street corner.
It's just, you used to see the crazy drunk preachers on the street corner screaming and yelling. Not that they didn't have a valid methodology to behind what they were doing, but the methodology of delivering it was kind of off-putting, they say. Okay, so if you think Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram are real communication, I'd say by large measure it's not. It's just our form of circus entertainment these days. TV programs gone to hell.
Verbal fodder.
YouTube is way more interesting. Oh yeah, and you don't have to go through 6 installments to get to the bottom. In 3 minutes, you know what they think. I like that. Yeah. So real communication starts on a one-to-one basis. You and I talking about something. We may not agree, but, that is a communication piece. And making it as clear as effective is key to effective coexistence and cooperation. If we can't talk to one another, we're going to start throwing things at each other. And if you haven't noticed this by now,
it's already going on.
It's already going on. So, like I said, clarity is the key to effective coexistence. And it's just, at this point, it's what I'd call it cultural common sense. Because if we don't do that, we don't have much.
We don't have a lot of hope.
We don't have a lot of movement around that. So, I want to relate a conversation that I had this week with a person who could probably end up being a really good friend of mine. We belong to a club, and we were sitting there having a beer, and we're talking like we always did, kind of like we were about as deep as a spoonful of water, teaspoon, But I started feeling this guy out, and I thought he was kind of assessing me too. Now, before I go into this person is a person of color or a black person. Whatever generation whatever generation, yeah.
White is a color.
Yeah. So, but the conversation evolved, and I did something I had wanted to do, and I hadn't met the person I could do it with yet. And this fella, I felt like I wouldn't insult him, and I wouldn't be hesitant to actually express the truth and talk to him. So the question I asked him was, I said, "You're a person of color. You're living in the same world that I'm living in somewhat, depending on your view, and all this stuff going on, all these, and I'm going to get nasty here, all these pasty-faced, Kool-Aid hair, Antifa screaming people in the streets saying Black Lives Matter. What do you feel about that as a black man? That these people are co-opting your issues and telling you, well, you go over here and we're going to fix it for you." And I asked this gentleman, how does that make you feel as a black person that a 20-year-old white person with a trust fund from Connecticut is telling you to sit here while he fixes your inequities? Right. And he proceeded to explain to me that, he says, "Jai, I think that black people are smarter than they get credit for." He's absolutely right. He said, "We look at this, we know who the bullshitters are. Right. We know who's using us, and we have to be patient." And he then explained to me how he came to his patients, that he was the first person of color, or one of three that lived in our town 50, 60 years ago. He couldn't get waited on in restaurants. The police followed him home, all the kind of stuff you hear about. But he related it in such a calm and clear way. There was no, I'm oppressed, I'm this, I'm that. He told the story in such a way that I actually could relate to it. And I understood somewhat, as best I can,
Right.
not having experienced it myself. But the conversation is the point here, not if we agreed, disagreed, whatever, on some things. I learned something from listening to this fellow's experience. And now when I talk to him, I see some of the nuances of why he speaks like he does and how he speaks and what he believes. Now, I can't help it. That's going to lead anywhere but to a good place between me and this fellow.
Exactly.
I'm making a friend. And, you know, I don't give a tinker's damn if he's bright fluorescent green. I really don't care. You know, we make fun of people's, the Kool-Aid in the hair thing, but that's a fad. It's like hula hoops. It's going to go away. But, you know,
kids right now don't know
many people that I've met are strange and wonderful people. I've been around the world, seen some things. And if you take people just on first glance, well, that person is this, and I'm above this person, or I'm afraid of that person.
Never do that.
Unless they're driving a bus and trying to run over you, you might take a minute to reassess that position, get to know them.
Get to know the person.
One-on-one conversation. You know, develop a relationship with the people that maybe you fear or you don't like so much, or you think you fear, or you think, and find one of those persons and start having a conversation. It's going to bring some stuff into your life that you can use. It's really going to help. And so the conversation I had, I learned some things, a lot of things, and it shifted my viewpoint just a little bit. You know, I'm not going to go march in the streets tomorrow, although I do feel there's a lot of work to be done.
There is.
For people of color and some things. The laws have been changed. I think the implementation has kind of been a little rough. The acceptance maybe in some quarters has been a little rough. But I can tell you what, I would rather be in 2021 than 1821, no matter what color you are.
Exactly.
World can be a better place if we just kind of figure some of this out. But the point is, if you want to find the truth about something, you're going to have to go out and look for it. You're going to have to sift through it. You're going to have to contemplate some things. Like we said last week, you're going to have to really look at it. It's going to bring some challenges to you because the world is not necessarily like you think it is. You have your own little sphere of involvement and experience. And while, like the little girl said, and it was a little girl saying my truth, you know,
Right.
and that's not a sexist gender thing. It's just she was a small female person. Okay, she identified as female actually. So calm down.
Identity.
But when they go my truth, you know, that's not very deep a place to be, and it's her way of expressing it. But don't get in the my truth is the most important truth thing. What we say here is opinions. We've told you that.
It's all opinion.
And if you can deliver some information to me that I'm full of it, and you can tell me why and how, I'm going to listen to it. And if you extend that to everybody, if you just a little bit, not every day, not all day, you can't be a crusader. You got to do a day job
Courtesy.
too. Courtesy, common cultural courtesy, common sense. And it'll be a better place. So I had a good week on that front. You know, I understand people are still out there killing each other, burning buildings down. But the conversation I had with one other human being, positive, because it shows you what is actually possible with some honest effort.
Yeah.
I don't want to overplay that, but it's just an example of,
the little things we can do in our life.
Yeah, it's like diffusing the Zach's confrontation.
Yeah.
And then stopping to, let's not worry about the stars on the bellies or the no stars on the belly thing, kind of thing. I know it's simplistic, but it's a hell of a lot better than shooting each other.
Don't be thick as a brick.
Yeah. Don't follow the thick as a brick road. It might be good to drive on, but it's not good to hit your head.
Still
on.
a bumpy road.
No. So I'm hoping we don't evolve to the point of Wokotopia. Utopia is a really wonderful idea, and every religion and every philosophy's got their version of it. But for something to be perfect means it's finished, and I'm not ready. I'm not finished. No. So, all right. So, you got anything else for this week?
No, this is a good day.
Okay, so we'll see you next time. Remember to like, subscribe, all that stuff, and do send us some comments.
Heart out.
Thank you much.